Well, welcome back, y'all. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Cajun Corporate Cooking. I'm your host and chef, Chef Note, and today we'll be preparing a holiday favorite of mine, sweet potato pecan pies and sweet potato pie. So I'd like to thank you all for allowing me into your home today. And as always, if you enjoyed the video and the content, please feel free to click subscribe on the button below. All right, so let's get into it. So this particular recipe is a fairly simple recipe. It involves obviously your sweet potatoes and pecans. We're going to use some dark corn syrup. We're going to use some vanilla extract, some sugar. For this particular recipe, we're going to need about 4 or 5 eggs, a little bit of cinnamon, obviously, and some pralines already pre-cut. Just for the interest of time on this episode, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to properly peel and cut potatoes. But we already have the potatoes working in the background. That's an inside story for everybody that shouts out that saw the video one. Joke's on me. All right, so let's get into it. What I have here is a KitchenAid potato peeler. And just pretty much go down the side of it as such. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's funny because my mom a long time ago, I used to peel potatoes with a knife. And she was wondering, like, why did I do that? And then tell you what, if you invest in this potato peeler, it'll make life much, much easier. So we're gonna peel the potato like so. And once we get the potato peeling, we're gonna put it on a pot, medium boiler. You can use any saucepan you want. For this particular recipe, probably I'd say you can use 3 to 4 sweet potatoes to make a good sized pie. If you want to do like me, I'm actually going to be making like about 4 pies today. So I went ahead and did about 8 potatoes. You know, it's the holiday season. I'm going to go around, see some people, and give them a little slice of joy. All right? So we peel the potato as such. Just got this one started here for you, just kind of to let you know the process. And when we cut it, what we want to do is cut it kind of close to a medallion. You don't want it to be too big. The reason being, if it's kind of too big, when it hits the pot and you start to boil it, it's something that ultimately could take you a little bit longer. Ultimately, you want the potato to peel for to cook and simmer for about 15 minutes, roughly, and then you'll be able to begin the process of mashing and then combining the ingredients. So typically, if you take the potato a little bit too far into the grain, it will ultimately be a longer boiling process for you. So I'm going to show you kind of what the texture, what we're kind of looking for here. So you go about one pass through here, which is a decent size. But because we want to kind of really get this to simmer in a quick way, we kind of cut these in 4. All right, kind of cut these in 4 right here. Okay. And ultimately, what this does for us is it gives us basically a nice cut on the sweet potato, so that way when we put it in the pot, it won't cook up and take too long. All right. So that's that process right there. All right. So follow me here for a second. I'm gonna show you what's the next step of this particular recipe. All right. So what we do here, we take your sweet potatoes, put them in a normal saucepan as so. Turn it to a medium temp. All right. You want to turn it to a medium temp so that way the sweet potatoes are able to boil at a high level. So ultimately, these particular sweet potatoes, and which we have put in here, we're gonna obviously let those simmer here, and this will be a small pot of potatoes for me. But ultimately, if you want to zoom in right here, we've got 2 sweet potato pots that have already been working. I want you to take a look at that right there for us. And that's ultimately the texture that you want to get it to. All right. So I'm going to tell you exactly what we have done here. We have taken a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. And I've got my measuring cups here. I apologize, by the way. People from around my way, we cook with a lot of flavors, so we don't really measure a lot. But for my episodes, I'm going to get in the habit of measuring things for y'all. How does that sound? All right, very, very cool. So we take a tablespoon of cinnamon, like so. We're going to put since we're doing 2 pots here, we're going to take a tablespoon of cinnamon over here as well. And this is to each his own. You know, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever taste flavor that you like. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a tablespoon of some light brown sugar, some Domino light brown sugar, which is my personal favorite. And we're also going to mix this in as well. And then we come back through, we're going to take, here in a second, for this particular dish, we're going to take about a half a cup of sugar, because let's face it, I like things that are good with a little bit of flavor. And we're going to take here in 2 more seconds after that. Y'all notice I put a little bit more of that brown sugar in there. Just a little bit more of that brown sugar. Don't be mad. Just put a little bit more of that brown sugar in there. All right? All right? And then we're going to come back also, and because we're doing a cake, we're doing a pie rather, we're going to put the all-purpose flour in there. So let me grab this here. Let me come in here with your sugar. And like I say, this is something to where it's on the user. If you want to get really funky with it, if you want to get really liberal with it, it's totally up to you. Like I say, I typically do a half a cup of sugar, maybe a whole cup, maybe. But again, it's up to the user on how they like it. You know, we don't want nobody to have diabetes or anything like that. We just want you to have a pretty good pie. All right. So we added that all in there, and then one more thing we got to add here too is we're gonna go ahead and take a cup of all-purpose sugar. Now you can pretty much get any sugar anywhere. There's no real, all-purpose flour. There's no real, and there's a lot of different rules about certain flour and baking cakes and things of that nature. But as long as you get you a all-purpose flour, it pretty much yields up. I'm going to shout out Publix on this one because I'm using their brand, all right? And way to shop, all right? Come holler at me. Anyway, all right, so we threw that in there. So we've thrown all those in there real quick. I'm actually going to use my KitchenAid spoon to mix this up real quick. Get a nice little texture on there. I want you to zoom in on this thing here, because in a second we're going to have a pie like you will never believe. All right, mix it all on in there. Get in there. All right. Yes, indeed. Y'all check that out now. Now keep in mind, this is basically about 10 to 15 minutes of boiling what we have right here on a low pot. Basically taking your potatoes, putting 2 or 3, maybe 4 in a pot, letting them simmer, maybe putting a little bit of water over them, and then whipping them, whip it, you know, like a stir fry, and get it to a texture to where it is this, this creamy and good, if you will. Because at this particular point, now that we've added that flour in there, now that we've got that thickness in there, what we want to do at this particular point, because we've added our sugar in here, because we've added our cinnamon in here, the last thing we're going to do on the top of this particular recipe, by the way, calls for a half an egg. Seeing as though I'm doing 2 pots, I have 1 whole egg here. The last thing we want to do before we actually put this into the oven is put an egg on here. That way we can make sure it cooks up to the right temp. You know, anybody can do a stovetop sweet potato, but there's a couple of things that you need in order for it to be a pie. You need the sugar, you need the flour, and you obviously need the egg in order for it to get a nice little texture and brown right in the oven. That is literally cooking 101 from my mother. Like she said those exact words to me, and at the time I said, yeah, okay, but it took me a couple of burnt, messed up pies to realize that she knew what she was talking about. Not that I never thought that she didn't know what she was talking about. Southside Shorty, say what's up. All right, so here's what we got now. So we've got these 2 pots here working. All right, what we want to do is throw in the last ingredient on this particular side, which is an egg. Half an egg. And we kind of beat this to a froth here, you know. So it's not much, just a little bit. Just enough to give it a little bit of texture and flavor on the back side of this pie. All right. In fact, we didn't even use the whole thing on this one. Okay, so we're going to blend this in like so. Oh, yeah, look at that. Y'all see that there? Boy, I tell you, this here is going to be something to talk about. All right. So we're going to blend this in like so for the time being. with your light brown cinnamon sugar and all your ingredients. And then we're gonna let this stand for a minute as everything is assembled and blended in. So again, we've got sugar, cinnamon, light brown sugar in here, an egg, and some butter. I'm sorry, which is the last. Second to last ingredient. You want to add a very, very small stick of butter in here. Not a stick, but a tablespoon. The reason being is we want to make sure everything slides out properly. All right, and that's going to do it for this particular side of the dish. All right. So we're going to mix this in here really quick, like so. All right, and then what that's going to do is going to sit on the pot on a low flame. And we're going to go to the other side here and work on our pecan topping. And at that particular point, we're going to put this all in the oven, y'all, and have a pretty bomb sweet potato pecan pie for the holidays. You know, if you know me, hit me up. I may not charge you for the first one. The second one, I may charge you a little bit. All right, so here we go. 1 second. All right, cool. So we've got those working. All right, so cool. So those are gonna work on there on a low flame. That's pretty much your sweet potato batter right there, as so. That's gonna go into, if you wanna, wide over here, that's gonna go into these pie shells. All right, in like 2.2 seconds. But what we wanna do here is show you the accoutrement for this particular dish. Which I'm very proud to say that this is one of my family recipes. So what we have over here is everything you need for the pecan, what they call topping. You want to keep the pecans over here by themselves here for a second, and you want to add to the particular dish 2 eggs. All right. So we're just going to take these 2 eggs and beat them as so. All right, add them to the pot. Boom. All right. We want to take literally 1 full cup of dark corn syrup. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. All right. And then what we want to do is take, 1 second, guys. We want to take 1 full cup of sugar as well. Okay. Boom. And last but certainly not least, which ironically enough, I apologize, y'all. I completely abandoned my vanilla extract, which you must have, and a sweet potato pecan pie. So I'm gonna put some in this dish over here, and I'm also gonna add a tablespoon to our dressing, our sweet potatoes on the other side. So give us 1 second here to get this one open. Just trying to be forceful with us. We want to give you the latest and the greatest ingredients from McCormick's. That's what we were trying to do. That's what we're really doing right there. All right. Shout out McCormick. Come holler at me. All right, here we go. So you want to put 1 tablespoon in the mix here. Bam. There you go. All right. And then I've got a KitchenAid whisker. So I'm just going to whisk all this in and stuff. This will take about maybe, I'd say, 1 minute. You want to whisk it to where it's kind of oblique before you put your pecans in, because this is really where you're getting your pecan topping. See, the whole dish itself, it's more or less a topping, the pecan on top of the sweet potato pecan. But once you mix it all in there and you pour it on top of your pie, you're gonna get something really special there. All right. Pull this all around here. You know. So like I say, when you're cooking, you know, you get off work, you had a long day, you left the gym. You know, the goal is to try to get you some recipes that are about 10-15 minutes of work. Obviously, this one's going to be on the back side of that because we have to put it into the actual oven. But what I will tell you is, you know, what we do here at Cajun Corporate Cooking, we try to get something where you can come home, whip it up, and get you, you know, put you some nice jazz on, put you, get you a wine, bottle out and enjoy the rest of your evening. You know what I mean? All right, so we're getting this to a pretty good texture here. You know, you want to whip it a little bit. And to each his own. You know, you can use a mixer. You can use a blender. There's a couple of things that you can use. In fact, as you're saying that, I just realized, as I'm saying that, I owe one more piece of butter for this particular mixture. But you know, this is something you want to whip it until you get it to the right texture, till you feel that it's to the texture that you need. And then at this particular point, we're gonna go ahead and throw in and add the pralines. Bam. All right. Ooh. I tell you, if I'm coming by you with this pie, you're welcome in advance. Okay. All right. So y'all, so stick with me here. We're gonna keep blending this up. This custard here, we're gonna just whip it for about 1 more minute to 2 more minutes. We want to get to the right texture. When we come back, we're gonna compile it all and put our pies in the oven. Stay tuned, y'all.